Oh, I'm assuming she's still,
Still on a trip.
I'm assuming.
Okay, we will call this meeting to order. This is our meeting where we have our work session. So for those of you that haven't been to our work session before, it's kind of informal. We don't really do the Pledge of Allegiance or anything like that until our formal meeting at 10 o'clock or whenever we get done with the work session. So work session just for ideas from the public or anything that the board has to discuss in a more relaxed setting.
Yeah, kind of an informal give and take situation where we can throw out ideas and try to get your input, or if you guys have ideas on certain ways that things that we need to be doing, and it's, again, it's just more of a less informal, kind of an open board. You know, we don't have all the answers by any means, and we need input from you guys and so forth.
I guess the League of Women Voters is here. Would you like to begin with whatever you have for us?
Thank you, appreciate that. Thank you for allowing us to come. Our purpose is to acquaint the new commissioners with the League of Women Voters. You may be familiar with us as the voter service that we do, but there's more to the organization than that, and that's part of what we want to talk about. But just to give you a little bit of background, we're a national organization as well as the local group here, and it was established in 1920, the year that women received the vote. And the league in Tiffin was established in 1970. A couple of us who had been in leagues in other communities and other states even came and said, Tiffin needs, we think we'd like to have one here, and it's worked out quite well. We've given you a packet of information, and the first piece in it explains in a little bit more detail about the league, which I just gave you a thumbnail sketch of our history. But the league is functioning in all 50 states, and we have a national office and a state office, as well as, we don't have an office here in Tiffin, but functioning here. Our voter service, you maybe remember the candidates night? You've all been to that.
Excellent forum. May I ask questions?
Sure.
In the process? How is it funded? How is the league?
Through our dues, and then we have a finance drive each year, and we contact people from the community, and also our members contribute in addition to their dues.
Now, do you have to be a woman to be on it? Is it?
No.
How do you recruit new members? I think this is something that would be interesting for the paper, you know, to get publicized.
Well, usually it's one-on-one, people that we know we contact and ask, and amazingly, not everyone's interested in this type of organization dealing with governmental issues, but those of us who are long-term members.
Well, you're an asset to the community. You are an asset to the community.
Well, thank you. We try to be. In addition to our voter service work, well, in addition to Candidates Night, we also produce the Voter's Guide, which comes out before the general election each year. And then this time of year, we publish an officials directory, and it's in the works right now. We'll be distributing those as soon as they're printed. Then the other part of our work has to do with issues. We never support parties or candidates, but we do take positions on issues that we have studied. And there are some additional papers in your little packet that give you an idea of the county issues that we're involved with. We have a position on city and county park facilities, and we did support the one levy that didn't make it, but for the county, for a county level levy for the parks.
The park district?
Yeah, they're doing very well, but we felt that it was a worthwhile event to support, which we did. Then several years ago, we studied county facilities, services, facilities, and finances. And during that particular study, we looked at all of the buildings that the county had and gave a fairly extensive program on their condition and so forth. And we have supported the, there was a sales tax levy. We supported that too.
One thing to add to Freddie, when we do a position, to even do a letter to the editor or whatever to support an issue, we have to have had a study on it. We can't just take a position on something we haven't studied. The positions that we have in our booklet or whatever, again, like I said, we've taken a study, we've done committee work on it, and they present it, and then we do consensus on it, what the organization feels. But to let you know that if we don't have a position on an issue, we can't actually write letters of support because we haven't made a study on it.
Okay.
So you do it very democratic. If you have an issue and there's debate within the league, if then it's very democratic, the majority, and then that's how, what you would support then, is based on that majority.
We have to have substantial support.
So we have
Substantial.
substantial.
Is there like a
Not
rule,
just
is
the
that
majority.
60%, 70%, or?
No, it's substantial, and through the discussion, it's pretty obvious whether you have agreement or you don't. And we do record minority opinions too. And depending how much support we really have, will sometimes depend on how strongly we support something too,
Okay.
if we feel it's time. The most recent study having to do with county facilities was the youth center, and of course that's a brand new building, which we were very happy to see happen.
We were too.
The other was in terrible condition. But we looked at the criteria for the various regulations that are established at the state level and see how it compared and whether we felt that it was up to the standards, even the new. And we just completed this study, but we haven't, the board hasn't approved it yet, so we wouldn't be taking any action.
Now, are you
until-
independent of the state league or the regional leagues? Let's say if the Tiffin League of Women Voters believes very strongly in this, but it goes against what the state does, are you independent of those, or do you?
Well, it's
Kind of have to find a
highly
consensus.
unlikely that we would come up with something in opposition to a state or a national position. But we can take action under state and national positions that exist. It would take me most of the morning to go through the whole list, but you've been aware of our work at the state level too. We have volunteer lobbyists who support our positions, state level position. And locally, it's up to us to either come to you or the city council or whatever group we're working with at the time. Did that answer that?
Very much so, very much so. And I certainly appreciate you coming and educating me as a newbie here. I certainly knew of the political forums that you have and so forth, but I didn't realize from a lobbyist standpoint and from a, I'm gonna say a watchdog, but that's probably not the right word, of just trying to
How about
You-
monitor?
monitor, okay. And I applaud that. I didn't know that.
We also have a position on election reform. The years that the state went into new standards for what should be done at local county levels. We did study that to see how our local board of election came up to that. And then we also have mental health and substance abuse positions at the local level, county level. If there is an issue of interest in the community and we don't have a position on it, we could have a forum a meeting. In fact, we did that with the county courthouse. We held more than one meeting for informational purposes. So we've been known to do that too, not just when we are prepared to take the position. Do you have any other?
So you guys can kind of be the facilitator
Yes.
on maybe some hot topics or some debated issues,
Right.
so that we could utilize your service through the League of Women Voters to kind of put this together and get all factions together so we can hear it in a public forum. Is that
Yes,
kind of,
that's the kind of thing.
that's super, that's super.
And we do observe governmental bodies, city council. We have observers here for your meetings. In fact, Phyllis Putnam is one of the gals, and she was going to meet with us this morning, and she got here and she didn't feel well, so
Okay.
so she handed it off to me
Okay, she was gonna
to do
present
the
that.
presentation.
Well, you're doing a very good job.
Which she had put together. Yeah, I think I went through the basics. Do you have any other questions?
Apologize that Mrs. Stacy isn't here. She's trip with her husband in Hawaii, but she wishes she was here.
Well, we wish we were with her.
25-year anniversary. so-
Okay.
Oh, well, Miss Holly has been to a few of our membership meetings, so she has a little bit more knowledge of the organization. And we've met with Jeff a number of times, so Jeff is somewhat familiar with what our work.
Yeah, and you do questions of the elected officials once they, I know we don't have a state rep, you'd always, after the election, get together and find out positions or lobby for positions on this or that.
After the new commissioners have a little more time in office, we'll probably come meet with you and
Okay.
have questions, interview you
Okay.
too. So that's something else we do.
Information is a big part of our organization, trying to get the information out to the community to make them more, like with the issues especially, and like candidates night is to get the public more aware, and that's the key, is just getting the information out.
If I recall, during the race, I mean, you were one of the very few venues that there was to get our specific views out, and as do it in a forum that you can have both candidates there and understand what's going on. And I mean, there was a few of those, but you were certainly the largest venue of all.
Well, we've
certainly
built a
felt-
reputation, a good reputation.
Yes, yes.
Over the years, because we have a fairly strict format for that, for candidates night. And that is in order to provide a fair setting for all the candidates. Everybody gets the same amount of time, the same amount of exposure. Sometimes we have candidates who don't like to sit next to their opponent, but that's a minor little problem.
And you partner with a number of people for that evening.
Yes, we've had a number of, the chamber, the newspaper,
Farm Bureau.
Farm Bureau,
AAUW.
so it's a co-sponsoring type process.
Very good.
Well, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming in. Anything else you want to add before we move on?
No, I think we've covered what we hope to.
Okay, well, thank you. You're
Thank
welcome
you,
to stay, or
and
you can.
You're more than welcome to contact us if you have questions or
Okay.
in the future. I'm sure we'll see you soon. Thank
Welcome.
you.
Thank you. Please keep up the good work.
Our personal name?
Yeah.
Diana, D-I-A-N-A, Wise, W-I-S-E. And then Freddie, I-E, Larson.
LARSEN.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else like to address the board in our work session? Yes.
I'm Brenda Stoltz, I'm from Adams Township, and I'm also the Region 2 representative for the Ohio Local History Alliance. And I haven't been coming to the meeting, so I didn't hear the presentation, but through the newspapers, it's my understanding that the Seneca County Bar Association has brought forth an opportunity to erect an Ohio historical marker in honor of the Cronice sisters, Nettie and Florence. Nettie being the first woman lawyer in the state of Ohio. This to me is past due. I'm very excited to hear about the opportunity, and I'm here today to just show my support for that and hope that the process continues to make the application for the marker. Also, is it going underneath the flags? Is that why they came to you for permission to erect it?
It was going on county property. I don't know that it's been completely determined where it's gonna go. It'd be by the statue somewhere, by the Gibson statue somewhere.
By the statue, okay. I guess in my mind, and several years back, I tried to portray Nettie Cronice at a Ohio Heritage School Day program, so I did do a little bit of research on her. But most of my research came from the Seneca County Museum and the director Tanya Hoffert, and also Nan Cart, the librarian at the Hayes Presidential Center, who has quite a few blogs and things out there about Nettie. So it was at that time, probably in about 2003, that I thought, why don't we do something in Tiffin for Nettie and Florence? I know that there's information at the Seneca County Museum. But my husband and I had the opportunity to tour the Ohio Justice Center, the old departments building in Columbus.
Okay.
And they have upstairs an education center where children's or youth field trips are, scheduled there to learn the process of the justice system. And right inside the door there, the first thing I saw was a plaque honoring Nettie Cronice and Tiffin, Ohio on it. So that, it's kind of a pride feeling when you go somewhere else and you see your hometown. I think that as we bring, as visitors and come into Tiffin, I think having a marker there to draw attention to that would be ideal.
Yeah.
And so if they do come to you for any other sorts of permissions, I'm just hoping that you would encourage that.
We gave verbal permission that day, and we were gonna pass something once Holly gets back.
Well, I noticed it did say you were going to address it in March, so I thought, well,
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
today's the day, but.
We will pass a resolution. I think that was our intent, and we wanna make sure that Mrs. Stacy's on board, but I think that was our intent to
Right,
pass a
and
resolution.
is it all private funding?
Yes, it would be the Bar Association that would provide the funding for it.
Thank you.
Yep. And if you have information for Victor, I don't know who determines the wording on that plaque.
They work with the Ohio Historical Society. Andy Verhoff, who is the local history coordinator, I think that he's involved in that. At our regional meeting, which will be held April 20th in Ashland this year, markers are one of the things on the program,
Okay.
workshop thing, so I would learn more there too, but
Yeah.
it's been a program through the Ohio Historical Society for many years. I would encourage you, if you haven't, you probably have, Jeff, but there's a website called remarkableohio.org, and you can browse the markers by county to see, how many your county has.
Okay.
People are invited to post photographs. Several years ago, I posted one from Green Springs. They erected one honoring the Native Americans who used to be there at the reservation by the Sulphur Springs.
Okay.
I've done one for General McPherson in Clyde. Well, you can take a look, and see what's on there, but I think there's one on there for George Burton Meek too in Clyde.
If you have information for, Victor Perez is the one that's kind of heading it up for the Bar Association.
I'm sure they've done their
Okay,
research, but,
okay.
yes, if I could be of any help.
I'm sure he would appreciate any background that you might have. They have to have some, the historical society wouldn't know what to put on there if the locals didn't give them some information, I wouldn't
Well,
think.
and they check it for credibility.
Okay.
but they're nice looking marker.
Yeah.
You had one here recently. You had one put down where, the Buckeye Vanguard, the Gibson's, the 49th,
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
I was there at that marker dedication. The Ohio National Guard historian Joshua Mann,
Okay.
he was there. He had served, his grandfather had served with Roger Young, and his grandfather had written this book, The Buckeye Vanguard, for the Civil War, for the marker there, so.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. Okay.
Thinking out loud along those lines, the placement of the marker, since she was the first female lawyer in Ohio, I would think that rather than being in the shadow of Mr. Gibson, a better spot might be over in the front corner by the Fifth Third bank. Over that front corner, there's a nice spruce there and stuff, but a separate location is my thinking. I don't know if anybody.
Well, I'm not sure, and I think Tanya Hoffer could probably add a lot to this conversation. I've not talked to her about it, but since she served with her husband, Mr. Leeds, I apologize for that.
That's right.
I don't know where their office was. That, if it was over in the Court Street area, John Huss might, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not well prepared to
Yeah.
talk about that.
I
I don't like the idea of it being under the flags.
I think
But-
we were just giving the permission to put, I don't think we were picking the location. I think the
No.
Bar Association was gonna
No.
actually pick the
And
location.
Okay.
wasn't there an issue that they had to do some discussion of going to the architectural review board or something of that nature? But
That
then,
was for the other signs, I believe, that was for.
okay, that was for the judge's sign.
Yeah, yeah.
And all we did for the,
We could specify a location, but I'm kinda comfortable leaving it to their discretion to. I don't
Yeah, that
know,
would
we
be
don't
my
want it right in
thought,
the
too.
middle,
Yeah.
where it'll interfere with some future building, but.
my main concern is where we put it, is that it doesn't interfere and hinder in any way. If at some later date we put a courthouse up, that we don't have to then tear up what we put in.
Right.
Because this is at their expense, our expense will be to maintain it. Of course, if we have to uproot it and replant it, then it's gonna be at our expense. So we wanna make sure wherever it is, that it won't interfere with any potential construction that happens later. But other than that, I would say the decision would really be theirs.
And I asked the, Victor when he was here, if the judges were on the Bar Association, both judges are on the Bar Association, so they will have input as to where that location is.
There might be interest from Republic. She was born in Republic, Ohio.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know I have no idea when the ceremony would actually be, or when they would.
But I agree with you, Jeff. If you could get with Victor Perez, I think there's a wealth of knowledge that you may have that could feed to Victor from the local standpoint, that they may want to incorporate this as they put their plaque. I think they were talking about,
September.
Pardon?
Did they give
The
a date?
newspaper said September. I
Okay.
think.
yeah, that's what I thought, by
So it
Heritage
might be-
Festival.
I've
Might be
forgotten
something
that.
to do with the Heritage Festival.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
would
was
be
their plan.
appropriate, you know.
I've forgotten that part.
Yeah, that was their plan, is try to have some memorial or some
But I think
ceremony in conjunction with Heritage Festival. It would be fitting.
Yeah.
I think there's an April deadline though, like, it takes time to create the marker.
Uh-huh.
And I think there's 4 times a year that the OHS reviews marker applications.
Okay.
So
Okay.
again, if you could get with Victor Perez, I think that would be, just to make sure you coordinate thoughts.
Well, I'd be glad to, help, I guess, but I mean, it's the Bar Association's
Mhm.
project. I'm sure
I mean, just more input of information.
Yeah.
You may have information that he doesn't have.
well, the Ohio Bar Association does present a Nettie Cronice Award every year to a female in the legal profession who exemplifies progress, or, I know that much. But
And recognition in Tiffin I didn't know about.
Yeah.
That's good.
I brought it forth Well,
Yeah, I think that was the first time I heard about it was when the courthouse debate was going on. That's the first time I
yeah.
ever heard it.
Well, I thought that, because it's in my mind, she served there.
Sure,
But,
sure.
you know, I don't want to go there right now because I went there.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else have anything for work session they'd like to bring up? Yes.
My name's Larry Bax. I'm the director of SCAT.
Okay,
And
I knew you. I couldn't put you.
I just wanted to stop by and introduce myself and let you know we're progressing towards our move into the new building. We're sending out invitations later this week. Our open house is going to be the afternoon of April 2nd.
That was a question I had this morning to ask, when is SCAT gonna be open? April 2nd?
That's when our open house and ribbon cutting will be. Hopefully, we're going to be moved into the building before that. We've got some little details we're trying to get a handle on right now, but Tanya has been a very great help in getting a lot of this information that we need taken care of, so. Yeah, Commissioner Stacy had called me a few weeks back to ask me to come to one of these to do this, and I have board meetings on the third Tuesday each month, so I was unable to make it until today, so.
We are moving some money later during board session for SCAT, just putting it in place to get the process, just to pay the bill, I assume. We'll talk about that a
Okay.
little bit.
So,
Well, and you've been on the job now a month?
just over 3 months now,
3 months,
Yeah.
okay.
so still learning a lot.
All right, thank you for coming. Anybody else, anything for work session? I had one thing that Mr. Breidenbaugh had brought up a while back, and I know you were checking into it, the employees with 25 years of service. We had a little glitch looking that up, because in our records, it carries over from if they worked for Tiffin before, or the state or something before, all their years of service shows up. Have we been able to track that down?
I've got about six offices that have responded. A couple of them had asked, do you want to recognize those that have, been retired but yet have came back for employment? And I said, well, if they have 25 years, I think that was what their goal was on this. So I am getting names and stuff around for that, so, but not all departments have responded yet, and maybe they just don't have anybody.
Yeah, we're kind of at the mercy of other departments, because Julie doesn't track that at the auditor's office, other than total service.
Yeah.
So to split it out, how much was Tiffin, how much was Fostoria or State of Ohio, is, we have to rely on other departments, but we're still looking at that.
Thank you.
Anything else for work session? It's almost time for, you have anything, Mr. Gould?
No, the only thing, with the gentleman from SCAT, Tia Rice and I, yesterday, were out looking at the barns, the old barns behind your building, the soil and water.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of things in there, I guess, from SCAT, and we need to do some house cleaning.
Yes, we definitely, once we get moved, we'll have room, we're gonna be getting rid of some things, and we'll be moving things over there, so. I haven't even been out in to see what all we have out there, but that's.
Okay, I mean, there's no hurry, but we'd like to get stuff out.
Well, no, there is a slight hurry, because April is our tree sale, and we utilize that basement. So we're gonna need that front area made sure that there's nothing in there, so that we can do all our tree packing and have all the trees in there. So, April 12th, I think, is when our tree sale is. or
I
about
did
that
contact
time.
Mary Ward yesterday about some of the file cabinets.
Okay.
There's a tremendous amount of file cabinets. Either we're gonna utilize them, or let's haul them off to the junk dealer and get some kind of money out of them, versus just taking space. And she mentioned that a lot of those file cabinets she wants and she needs, and apparently there's some rolling file cabinets that are down there that are very expensive, that she can utilize now. So I asked her if she would get with you,
Okay, great.
so we can get that stuff moved out. And then, I mean, there's some beautiful desks and some things from the courthouse in there. If we leave it down there, it'll just turn into junk, no
It'll
time at
absorb the
all.
moisture and start getting moldy, like there's a couple of old things that they put down there years and years ago. But they're not usable anymore because of the moisture, so.
Maybe we'd follow up with maintenance. Anything that's junk should be hauled away to the scrap, and I guess anything that's saleable, we could put on gov deals and get rid of it if nobody's gonna use it.
Well, that's what I mentioned, I think yesterday to you, to put newsletter out to all county departments if they need file cabinets or desks or chairs or anything of that nature to get with Tia and to utilize what we have out there. And then after we go through it, and I kept reoccurring thing is a lot of this stuff is SCAD. A lot of this stuff is SCAD.
Yeah.
I understand that you don't have the space for it now, but eventually
Yeah.
you will.
What I was gonna designate our stuff, I was gonna offer it to the United Way agencies first to see if any of those agencies had need of the equipment. Most of our stuff is marked down there, but there is, like you're saying, there's a lot of other things that aren't ours, and I have no idea who, if it's, it probably belongs to the county, but, and again, some of our stuff, I don't think all of our stuff's gonna go, I don't think there's that much of a need for all of the stuff that we've collected over the years of that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the main thing, is if it's utilizable by a county department, let's get rid of it. If not, let's offer it as an auction. And if not, let's turn it into junk and at least get some money out of it versus, I'm not a guy that likes to keep a lot of junk hanging around. It just clutters up and it grows on you. So, take a look at it and.
Okay. Do you have something, Tia?
Just real quickly, I just wanted to kind of come up and give you guys a little bit of update. Spent last week at the Federation meeting for the soil and water districts, looking at the biennial budget. So we're actually in the budget this year. They actually put us in, so we're not fighting and clawing to try and get the funding. We're put in at the same level that we were in the past budget, which is a good thing. So we're not trying to fight to get put back into it. So we should be good as far as our state match goes.
Is this the scrap tire mat fee?
It's all three of those things. So, which is good. So we're not going to be fighting and clawing to try and get a lot of funding. We'll be trying to keep it or trying to increase it, but not necessarily just trying to get put into the budget.
Great.
I had talked to Tanya about getting the copies of the lease for the farms to look at. I want to look at the farm leases and actually try to utilize the farms as example farms for the county as far as practicing conservation efforts. So I'm going to be working on that. We're going to be working on putting together whole farm plans that we can then utilize when you guys are putting it back up for bid, or even looking at implementing before the bids are up right now, because you've got 2 bids that won't be up until 15 for the farming for 16. So it's something I think we need to look at ahead of time as adding an additional clause to the farming operations. So we're working on that. We'll be working on that, hopefully have something here within the next few weeks. Working with Mark, he gave me a scope of work for the Wolf Creek project, so we are working on putting together things for that. Just trying to figure out where we're going to be at. So he and I are working on that. We did get our tile camera that we were working with the engineer in the sewer district on. So we're going to be going around to all the township trustees now, promoting that as an additional service that the soil and water district's able to provide. So I don't know how many of you saw the big write-up in the paper regarding Beth Deesh and the educational grant that we got with with the North Central Education Service Center, but we're going to be working on that as well. So the other thing is we're working with NRCS, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, to bring in an additional $1 million into the Blanchard and the Sandusky River watersheds for cost share payments for nutrient reduction.
Okay.
So we're a little busy out there. I just kind of wanted to come up and give you guys a little bit of brief of some of the things that we're working on other than our normal things that we typically are working on. So
The clause in the new farm lease, we don't want to be too restrictive that it lowers the folks who would actually bid on that. Just my thought. I mean, we can be conservation conscious and yet not be too. You don't have to require them to plant cover crops every year and things like that. You were going to make them plant cover crops every year.
I think it's an important thing as we're going, especially with the states, with the mandate that the states are leaning towards, is cover crops is becoming more and more of an important best management practice to reduce runoff and reduce the loading of nutrients into the rivers and streams. So
well, give it some thought. I just don't
we
want
were
to be too
looking at something
restrictive. We're getting
again.
a good income off of that farm, and I don't want to. I want it to be long term, but I don't want to be too restrictive.
Again, it'll be something that you guys would have to approve, but definitely cover crops were going to be one of the stipulations. I think it's important that we, cover crops can be that wheat, that they're going to be planting, and then the other 2 years, the other 2 years, you know, it doesn't have to be anything fantastic, you know, but at least having something on that ground to help reduce the runoff. So, again, it'll be something that you guys would have to
Okay.
approve, but definitely cover crops are gonna be a part of that,
It
especially
should be a
with,
part of it. I'm not sure it should be 100% coverage every year.
okay.
Okay, all right.
We'll agree to disagree on that one, so, but,
I'm sorry, were you finished?
No, I'm done,
I have
so-
another question for you. Will we get anywhere on Megason Creek?
we're trying.
It's progressing?
It's progressing.
Okay.
Tricia did get our treasurers to certify the numbers.
Oh, good, good, good.
So we've got those certifications. We're giving those to Carrie, to Huron County Soil and Water District, for
Okay.
them to go forward with it. Tricia gave that to me last week when I was at the Federation meeting, so it's on my email to send over to.
If we've done that, we've done all we can do. We have a little problem with Huron Soil and Water not quite picking up the ball on a joint county ditch, but,
We're actually doing a lot of the work that they should be doing to make sure that our landowners in Seneca County are taken care of, so. So yeah, I mean, we've got all the numbers certified. We were able to get that done through the recorder's office, or I'm sorry, the treasurer's office. And as soon as we can get,
yeah, there's nothing to hold Kerry back then. If everything's certified, there's nothing to hold him back.
correct. And hopefully we'll be able to get him to get a meeting set up. Again, the whole issue of just, the communication was lacking between us, and we were the ones he needed to be communicating with, so. He called the other day, and so I think he's on board. I don't think you'll hear much communication from him,
Okay.
other than maybe a CC.
Okay.
So,
Great, great.
and if you do, just reiterate to him that we're the ones he needs to be working with, not you.
Right.
So, since we're the ones doing all the certification and all the work, so.
Well, I appreciate your extra work on that.
So,
I know
not a
that's
problem.
been a-
No,
been
it's
a
what we're there
problem.
for, so. But hopefully, we should have that resolved, at least get the information to him. And then I am gonna fire that email off to their chairman and the board chairman over there and
Okay.
the commissioners, just letting them know what we need to do, so. All
Great.
right?
Tia, did you get the email I sent you for the farm leases?
I did.
That had
So
all-
I am working, I got
I just
that.
wanted to make sure.
Yep, I was down in Columbus when I got that, so that's on my list as well, so. All right,
Great, thank you.
great,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Oops. Don't break the door on your way out.
Yeah, really.
That's one of those, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Okay, we're gonna move into our regular business session. It is Tuesday, March 5th, 2013, it's 10:08, and we'll start this with the pledge of allegiance.
No, she's not.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Reitner, Commissioner Stacy is absent, Commissioner Zoll.
Here.
Okay, we will sign the journal. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes.
And I will second that. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Zoller,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy, Commissioner Reitner.
Yes. All right, that's all right, that's all right. Old business. Any old business for us?
Not today.
Okay. Anything for you? Old business? All right. Running to new business then.
New business, I have a supplement to the permanent appropriation for the Water Pollution Control Fund, 221 for 2013, putting $34,000 into contract services. I have an appropriation adjustment within the general fund. This is moving, looks like they're combining all of their salary accounts. They had them all separated out at one time, and it looks as though as they're combining them to make it probably easier for payroll.
This is Veteran
Veteran
Service Commission.
services, yep. So they currently have $29,040 they'd like to move from salary service officer to just their salary account. $25,227.86 from their salary service officer to their salary account. They have $27,729.80 from salary transportation to their salaries account, and then $24,102.76 from their salary part-time drivers to their salary account for a total moved of $106,100.42.
I might mention, just for information, the veteran service gets a certain millage we're obligated to provide them out of the general fund. I can't say, was that a half a mil or something, but we're obligated to provide them out of the general fund, and then they allocate it as they see fit, so they're just rearranging that in their lines. Not all counties provide that full millage, and they fight throughout the year with their veterans. We've had a good relationship. They're very frugal, and they turn some money in at the end of the year each year, usually. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Nope, that's okay. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the SCAT Building Construction Fund 211. This is to finish out the payments, the outstanding advances for contract services for $700,000.
Now, will that complete the payment for the SCAT building,
That would be the full amount, yes.
the full amount? And who approves to make sure that the work has been completed?
Oh, well, we have the architects, TFC Architects is on board with that. We have a project manager, Arlen Lowry, that's keeping track, contracted with us to
Have they
do
signed off
that.
and, what is the procedure? Do they sign off on it before it comes for appropriations? What I don't wanna do is all of a sudden we appropriate final payment and find out that an architect didn't sign off or
Oh,
something.
no, we don't,
So there is a procedure in
Yes.
place that we don't get it until after it goes through someone's,
yep. To make
that's
sure
got to
that,
deal with the construction, that the work has been completed and
Yep.
final payment is
is due,
approved
yep,
now
yep,
to come to us.
yep. Plus, it also has to go through the state, since this is the,
Department
State
of
fund, yeah.
Transportation.
I just want to make sure there was
Transportation.
checks and balances there.
Yep.
that Don't want
Sure
to pay
is.
somebody to find out work hasn't been satisfactorily completed.
And SCAT was all federal money that flowed through the state as part of that stimulus thing 4 years ago. But we are the contracting authority, so we had to sign the contract.
yep. And that's all the resolutions I have.
Is there a motion to approve those?
Make a motion that we approve as outlined.
I will second it. Any discussion, further discussion, I guess? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Silver?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy? Commissioner Whitner?
Yes. Okay, any other new business? New business? New business? I don't have any. Any public comment from anyone out there? Well, thank you all for coming. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
And I will second that. We're adjourned as of 10:13.